Greetings and welcome everyone to this week's episode of UC Weekly News. I'm your host David Danto and I'm still in Oslo. Today I am at the Cisco headquarter offices and we're going to get a tour of some of their labs, talk to some of their people and learn about everything that's going on with Cisco. So stay with us, we'll be right back.
Or if we're sitting at about 20% for the day and I want to come in to be part of something dynamic, 20% probably is going to end up being a work from home day. But then let's say we are, okay, 40%, that's good enough for me. I want to come in. But if I'm going to come into the office and make that journey, take those 2 hours out of my life, I need to make sure that this is going to be worth it. And how I do that is by making sure that everything that could be available to me, everything that I need for the day is going to be represented in here. Mm-hmm. So for instance, if we go to like the third floor, for instance, this is where our product managers sit, and we can see right from the go, as an end user, I do not need to tell you which of these rooms are booked and which of these rooms are available. Simple traffic light systems are something that are going to make the journey a lot easier. It's also quite interactive with, let's be honest, it's quite fun to play with. But even from here, I need to know what's available to me. And fortunately for me, I know this building. So I know which room I'd go for. But if I didn't, that's fine. I just press my room finder. And I say I need something for 30 plus minutes. There's 5 of us here. I need it with a collaboration device. That's going to give me a list of everything that's available to me on this floor, but also everything that's available to me throughout the entire building. And when I click into it, if we say, okay, great, we'll use Babelfish, for instance. Not only do I get to see the calendar for the day, because it might be available at that time, but then booked out for the rest of the day. I come into the office, it said it was free. This is giving me that visualization, but also those sensors. These are being represented in real time to your end users to make sure they're getting the same conditions that they need. So for instance, things like ambient noise, if you're going to do focused work, a lot of people are staying home to do the focused work because they minimize the distractions. If we can give them the assurance that they're going to be in a nice, quiet area, we can make sure that they're going to get that work done. And we can say, great, this is a room that I'm going to want. That's going to turn it blue. Now that's not going to create a block in our calendars, because typically then what people do is go, right, I'll book this for them, I'll book this for them, book this for them, and then they forget to unblock it. This ensures that when I need a space, there and then I can go and take it. And in our building, 3 minutes is long enough to get anywhere. But if I was walking down the corridor and I bump into Rich, we start talking about some new products, let's just grab a coffee and have a talk. Well, we want to make sure that these resources are continually available for people who need them.
So sitting with me now is Rich Bays. Rich, what's your title at Cisco?
Yes, I'm the Senior Director of Product Strategy and Growth for Collaboration Devices Unit.
And you're local here to the Oslo office?
Yes, I live here in Norway.
So tell me about what this office does. Well, it's not just desks and people, writing on computers. There's a lot of things that go on over here that's interesting.
No, we like to call this office like the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. From the outside, it looks like a standard office building, but from the inside, it's really a living lab of 7 floors of R&D development that's happening all from the basement to the top, where we actually have every part of the building process in the building. Industrial design, UX design, mechanics, electronics, software, application, testing, and even sales.
And historically, you guys have been in this location ever since the days of Tandberg, right?
Yes, for over 2 decades, we've been on this street.
And when Cisco purchased Tandberg, this facility was absorbed by Cisco, and it's still where most of the video and the Collaboration R&D takes place, right?
Yeah, so we have over 500 employees here. We call this like the global video headquarters for Cisco when it comes to collaboration. And I think, obviously it's a big area here in general in Oslo when it comes to video.
Now you've walked me through some of the spaces, and I'll share some of the video before and after of walking through. But there's a lot of interesting things here. A lot of the demo centers around the world from a lot of companies are now showing scenarios, real-world scenarios about how people would be interacting with this technology in general. And you've got a lot of those here, right?
Yeah, so I think it's really important for us to make sure that we're testing what actually companies are doing in real life. Like we have customers come in here all the time, and they share with us their experiences, their floor plans, and we try to replicate that. Because not every company is the same, but we want our technology to be flexible enough to solve all use cases in all companies.
And then you've got people doing some real skunk works down here, doing some designing and slicing up wood and laying out floors. And
iteration is innovation. Like we need to make sure that we can have these close feedback loops. And so like we meet for coffee and we might have an idea, we put it on paper or a board, we go away, 2 hours later, we can like test the idea. And I think that's one of the major benefits of what we do here by having all those units together, is that we can shorten those feedback loops. There's no need to go to another site or have a different time zone to kind of make things happen.
Now, you don't do manufacturing on this site. You have factories at other places in the world, many other places in the world. But you did show me that you do some quality testing here, like you're simulating aging a piece of equipment, cycling temperatures, high and low lows, and going back and forth and things like that.
Yeah, it's very important that we want to make sure that our product's lost. And our longevity is one of our pride aspects, and we want to make sure that we test that over and over, not just from like temperature, environmental, but also usage. Like, when it comes to pens on boards or desk products, we want to make sure that every product we put out there, we're very proud of the quality, that it will last for at least the lifetime that we expect and more.
Okay. And when you do get a product back here that either failed one of your tests or failed at a customer site, that's where you start actually taking it apart on benches here and figuring out why you had an issue, right?
Yeah, like we want to make sure that the quality is always there, and sometimes we can't catch every use case of how someone's going to use a product, and so when something happens out there in the real world, we want to make sure we can understand it, come here and actually build better next time. So we always are learning from our own processes, but also for our support network. When something goes wrong, we want to understand exactly why it went wrong and build it better next time.
And you've shown me some things that we can't talk about. We're not allowed to talk about that will be introduced at WebEx1, which will be out in a few weeks. And you also shown me some things that are going forward that aren't necessarily going to be coming out at WebEx1, but your R&D pipeline is actually pretty healthy right now, right?
Yeah, I'm super excited about what we're doing in our space. Like beyond, when it comes to camera and audio intelligence, we have a lot of stuff there, which will obviously some of that at WebEx1. But beyond that, I think there's a lot of potential to unlock from our devices with all the technology we have in there. And I think we're just starting, honestly.
And definitely, we will be at WebEx1. I'll be there. I'll be sending you guys some video of what shows up, and we'll get a chance to chat with Rich and everybody else there as well. So make sure you look for that in about a month or so from now. That's October 23rd,
I believe.
23rd?
Yeah,
so
that week.
Second to the last week of October in Miami, or actually on the beach in the Diplomat in Fort Lauderdale, close
yes.
to Miami. Okay. And then the other thing that came out that was very obvious here, that we did a lot of discussions about for a lot of reasons, is just how successful Cisco is being in Microsoft products lately. That it's now kind of Microsoft Teams in a collaboration environment with hardware that's working really well.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of customer feedback that our Cisco Rooms software and Room OS with Microsoft Teams Rooms is really enabling new use cases and solving use cases that the customers have. And so the momentum there is very strong, and our partnership with Microsoft is very strong, and I think we're unlocking new experiences together.
Now, one example that you gave that I think we're allowed to talk about was the example that one of your customers wanted to be able to present dual 4K content in the room, which Microsoft Teams itself doesn't support, but you support it on the Teams hardware that you provide in the room.
Correct. So this is a feature we've had in our software for a while on Cisco Rooms with Room OS, and when we brought in Microsoft Teams Room, at the initial starting point didn't have the same functionality exposed from Room OS. So we wanted to make sure that we can expose it in the right way with Microsoft without complicating the user experience for Microsoft Teams. So our goal is to make sure that we can expose all the value of Room OS, but not confuse the user when it comes to the user experience of Teams. And I think we've done a really good job with that so far, but we can do some more stuff there too.
And it's exciting because you're using the best in industry hardware, but you're now supporting either the OS that Cisco uses, the Collab OS, or Microsoft Teams, and it's a choice when you boot it up. And you can kind of go back and forth sometimes too a little bit. Yeah,
you have to reboot the system to be able to choose into a new OS. But I agree, like when we can really bring the best of both worlds together, we can really elevate the experiences there. And I think as we start unlocking more aspects and how we can enhance not just the meeting, but the actual workspace and light that up with all the information through the Control Hub platform and extend that ecosystem even further, it really solves problems that we hear from customers every day.
So as a last question, and you can look to the camera and look to our audience, what do you want people to know about Cisco Collaboration and about the Cisco Collaboration facility? What would you tell the customers about what you're accomplishing here and what you're accomplishing in the space?
Yeah, so I think what we're accomplishing here is by really bringing everyone together and understanding how the real world uses collaboration technology in meeting rooms and how we're unlocking the potential technology with AI and hardware from the software and hardware side is really extending the value beyond just a traditional meeting room device. Like solving video is core, having great audio, great video is core, but we also want to unlock understanding how rooms are being used and being contextually aware. We want to bring in the rest of the Cisco portfolio, and so we can tie in the Meraki stack and the Catalyst stack and Cisco Spaces, ThousandEyes, etc., to really, I would say, unlock true future-proof workplaces and not just focusing on the video, which is still core, but it's more than that.
Rich, thanks very much for your hospitality
Thank
today
you, David.
and for showing us around, and thank you guys very much. We'll be back in a minute.
And then into more of an open space. We wanted to really give a nice sort of wow factor when people came in straight away. So the EQX, for me, that is the wow factor. But also giving things like spaces, giving people the ability to see how we can be a multifunctional space with hot desking on the desks. Needed that as well. Of course, what Cisco device preview would be complete without a Microsoft Teams section as well. What we also wanted to do with this space is make this whole space a little bit more interactive. So as well as having this area, we can also then just open out this wall, and then we give ourselves a really nice little briefing space.
Very nice.
It's quite a nice little touch, I think. And then, like, one of the big things we do, we're a video conferencing company. So we need to show people all around the world the importance of video conferencing. Good thing about video conferencing is you can dial into anyone, anywhere in the world. And for that, we actually have a dedicated area replicating all of the experiences in here, but on a much more virtual way. So that when we can't bring customers in physically, we can still give them the entire experience. And of course, it's all being communicated on Cisco devices as well.
So you might as well narrate this. Tell us where we are.
Yeah, so we're currently in what we call our Big Bang Lab, which is for our audio and camera intelligence teams, and exploring how different room types, different camera angles can really help when it comes to the experiences we deliver. So we're testing, for example, with like our EQX device here in the end, and how a long and narrow table will work, and how like the extended reach with the PTZ camera can capture the best distance possible. Actually, on the side here, you're probably seeing like our quad cams up on the ceiling there, and actually we're testing like how quad cameras can be used for cross view and how we can create experiences with that. And we actually get requests from customers to look at like their shapes of size of the tables, and then we can come in here and replicate it. So using you know some very easy to movable furniture, we can replicate table shapes, and then we can really test out like their life scenarios, because every building, every company has different size rooms and different types of tables, and we want to make sure that we are actually meeting the expectations that they expect.
This one, because what I can do with this is simply walk up to the device, scan it with my phone, and that's going to cross-launch into my WebEx. What that'll do is form a connection with this device and start a sign-in process. From there, it's going to pull my WebEx profile, which is also scraping my Outlook calendar. Okay. And this is really important, because when I say if I'm signing in until 5 o'clock, not only do I then have a personal device, I get all my meetings. Regardless of the platform, as your first day on the job worker, I can have that exact same executive level experience across the board on all of our desk series.
And if someone calls your phone number attached to what it's calling, you'll bring that device as well.
So that's it for this week's UC Weekly News. I'm your host, David Danto. I will see you next week with something special. It's going to be an interesting silent concert. Take care.